You list something for sale. A gaming console. A piece of furniture. An old laptop you don't need anymore. You post a few photos. You set a price. A stranger messages you and says they want to buy it. Now you have a decision to make. Where do you meet? Most people pick somewhere convenient. A car park near their home, a coffee shop, the curb outside their building. Somewhere quick and easy because the item is worth $40 and it doesn't feel like it warrants a complicated security protocol. But the person you're meeting isn't who their profile says they are. The photo is fake. The name is fake. The friendly messages were written to put you at ease, and the meeting spot they suggested, the one that seemed reasonable, the one that was easier to park at, wasn't chosen for convenience. These are 3 true stories from people who went to meet a stranger from Facebook Marketplace and discovered that the transaction was never about the item. A 15-year-old, I'll call him Ethan, was selling a gaming console on Facebook Marketplace. His parents knew about it. His dad was going to drive him to the meetup. Everything was being done carefully. The buyer messaged through Marketplace. Profile picture, a middle-aged man. Pleasant messages. Said he was a grandfather buying the console for his grandson's birthday. Asked the right questions. Does it come with controllers? Is the power cord included? What condition is the screen? Normal buyer behavior. Ethan's dad suggested meeting at the Starbucks on the main road. Well lit. Cameras. People. The buyer responded. Would it be okay to meet at the bookstore down the street instead? Easier parking. Ethan's dad looked up the bookstore. It was a small independent shop about 2 minutes from the Starbucks. During the day, fine. But the meeting was set for 7 in the evening, and the bookstore closed at 6. The car park behind it would be empty and unlit. Ethan's dad almost said no. Almost. But the buyer had already confirmed the time. Ethan had the console in a bag, and it felt like too much hassle to renegotiate over a parking spot. So they went. They pulled into the bookstore car park. It was exactly what you'd expect. Dark, empty, tucked behind the building where the street wasn't visible. One other car was parked at the far end. The buyer hadn't arrived yet. They waited. 5 minutes. Ethan texted through Marketplace. We're here. The response came back. Be right there. Grey car on far end. Ethan's dad looked at the grey car. It had been there when they pulled in. Someone was inside. The driver's door opened. A man got out. Not middle-aged, not a grandfather. Mid-30s, stocky build. He didn't walk toward them like someone buying a birthday present. He walked directly to the rear passenger door, the side where Ethan was sitting, and grabbed the handle. He tried to open Ethan's door. It was locked. Ethan's dad always locked the door. The man pulled once, hard, then again. Then he looked through the window at Ethan, a 15-year-old boy sitting in the back seat, holding a gaming console, and pulled a third time. Ethan's dad put the car in reverse and floored it. As they swung out of the space, his headlights swept across the far end of the car park. A second person was standing behind the dumpster at the edge of the lot. Not hiding, standing, waiting, watching the approach. Two of them. One to approach the car, one positioned at the lot's only exit to block if needed. The grandfather buying a console for his grandson was a coordinated operation involving at least two people in an unlit car park behind a closed business at 7 p.m. Ethan's dad drove straight to the police station. He filed a report with the marketplace messages, the profile information, and a description of both individuals. The police told him the profile was almost certainly fake, and that the account had likely been used before. Ethan doesn't sell anything online anymore. His dad told me the thing that haunts him isn't the man grabbing the door handle. It's the second person behind the dumpster. The one they didn't see until the headlights hit him. The one who was there the whole time. Positioned. Ready. If Ethan's dad hadn't locked the doors, if the car hadn't been in park instead of drive, if they'd gotten out to do the exchange standing in that lot. He doesn't finish that thought. He doesn't need to. A woman, I'll call her Priya, was selling a dining table on Marketplace. Downsizing. She listed it with 4 photos. The table from different angles, showing the condition, the chairs, the wood grain. Fair price. She expected a quick sale. A buyer messaged within an hour. Interested. Asked the right questions. Then, would it be possible to pick it up from your place? I have a truck, and it would save us both the hassle of meeting somewhere to transfer a heavy table. Priya said no. She offered to meet at the police station lobby. Her city had designated safe exchange zones for online transactions. Well lit, cameras, officers present. The buyer agreed, set a time for the next evening, and then didn't show. Priya messaged, "Hey, are you still coming?" No response. She waited 30 minutes and drove home. That night, around 11, Priya's roommate noticed something while scrolling social media. Someone had taken Priya's marketplace listing, the photos she'd posted of her dining table, and reposted them on a different platform. Not as a listing, as a location. The background of one of Priya's photos showed her living room window. Through the window, a distinctive building across the street was partially visible. A church with a specific architectural feature. Someone had used that detail to geolocate her apartment. They'd cross-referenced the window view with street-level imagery and identified her building, her floor, and which unit faced that direction. From 4 photos of a dining table, someone had extracted her home address. The marketplace buyer who no-showed was never heard from again. The repost on the other platform was taken down after Priya reported it. She doesn't know if the same person did both, if the buyer was just gathering intelligence and the no-show was intentional because they'd already gotten what they needed from the listing photos. Priya deleted every marketplace listing she'd ever posted. She went through each one and checked the backgrounds. Her bookshelf was visible in one photo, a stack of university textbooks with her program name on the spine. Her kitchen counter in another, a stack of Post with her surname partially visible. The corner of a framed photo showing a family holiday with a location tag on the mat. She'd posted 23 listings over 2 years, and each one contained fragments of her life in the background. Her neighborhood, her taste, her routine, her name, and every single listing was public. Anyone could see them. Anyone could screenshot them. Anyone could spend 30 minutes piecing together a profile of her life. The dining table buyer didn't need to come to her home. They didn't need to meet her. They just needed her photos, and she'd given them freely. A man, I'll call him Greg, sold a laptop on Marketplace. The transaction was clean. Met the buyer at a busy petrol station in the middle of the day. Cash exchange, handshake. The buyer was polite, checked that the laptop powered on, said thanks, and left. Greg drove home and forgot about it. 2 weeks later, he got a message on Marketplace from a username he didn't recognize. Hey, just had a question about the laptop. Greg assumed it was the buyer with a tech issue, and he responded, Sure, what's up? The messages started simple. Questions about the laptop specs, then questions about what he'd used it for, then questions about him, what he did for work, where he lived, whether he lived alone. Greg stopped responding. Something fell off. He blocked the account. A new account messaged him the next day. Same tone, same questions. He blocked that one too. Another appeared, then another, 4 different accounts over 10 days, each one slightly more personal. The last one said, You're not very friendly, Greg. His first name. He'd never given it. His Marketplace profile used a nickname. Greg deactivated his Marketplace account. The messages stopped. He exhaled. 2 weeks of weirdness. And it was over. And then a letter arrived in the post. A physical letter. In an envelope, hand-addressed at his home. His full name, his correct address. He'd never given either to anyone on Marketplace. His listing didn't include his location beyond the city name. He opened it. Inside was a single piece of paper with one sentence printed in plain text. You should really clear your hard drive before you sell things. The laptop Greg sold still had his Chrome browser data on it. Saved passwords, autofill data, search history. His email was logged in. His email contained his full name, his home address in a delivery confirmation, his phone number, his workplace, his bank statements, and his medical appointments. The buyer hadn't just purchased a laptop. They'd purchased Greg's entire digital identity for $200. And the messages, the escalating accounts, the blocked profiles, those weren't a stranger harassing him. They were the buyer, demonstrating how much they knew, testing how long it would take Greg to react, watching him block account after account while they sat in his email reading everything. Greg called the police. He bought the letter. He bought screenshots of the messages. He explained the laptop sale. The officer asked if he'd done a factory reset before selling it. Greg said no. The officer paused and said, not unkindly, but with the weariness of someone who'd heard this before, "That's how they get you." Greg changed every password, every email, every bank login, every recovery question. He spent an entire weekend rebuilding his digital life from scratch. He put a freeze on his credit. He set up fraud alerts. He still checks his credit report weekly, 9 months later. The buyer was never identified. The marketplace profile they'd purchased the laptop through was deleted. The letter had no return address and no fingerprints worth pursuing. Greg told me the sentence on that letter is burned into his memory. Not because it was threatening, because it was helpful. The person who had full access to his email, his passwords, his financial accounts, everything they needed to destroy his life, chose to send him a warning instead. And Greg doesn't know why. He doesn't know if it was a game, a lesson, a flex, or whether the person is still sitting on that data, waiting for a reason to use it. He bought a paper shredder the week after. He factory resets every device now, phones, tablets, laptops, before he sells them, before he recycles them, before he donates them. He said he'd rather smash a hard drive with a hammer than let someone else hold the life he built. And he never sells anything on Marketplace. Not because of the messages, because of the letter. Because someone found his home from a laptop and a handshake at a petrol station. And he has no idea what they're doing with everything else they found. Always meet at a police station lobby. Never post photos with identifiable backgrounds. And factory reset every device before it leaves your hands. Every device. Every time. Send me your story. Link in the description. Subscribe if you're new.